All right. I am so excited. I just want to say, oh my gosh, it is all about the speech tonight. We are here at 9 at Night. I'm Christine Campbell, your co-host. I can't wait to introduce my other half co-host. But let's talk about 9 at Night real quick. This is every weekday night from Monday through Friday. And there is nothing like being able to have a little breath of fresh air, kick back, relax, and have some great content. Every night is a different topic with incredible people around the world making a positive difference. Monday night, it's all about this speech. And what am I talking about? It's talking about if you have that desire to speak on stage, to eventually be a paid speaker, to share your heart, your dreams, and anything else you want to give to the world. That's where you need to be to hear tonight to practice and share with us too. So I'm excited to go ahead and introduce my co-host here. And I'll tell you, this guy is absolutely amazing. He is amazing in every way. And I'll tell you why, because he has a heart of gold. A moment with Shawn, you're going to remember that forever. He's out there reaching, lifting, making sure everybody has their confidence built and they're on the right track when it comes to speaking, as well as a wonderful nonprofit that he does working with youth. And we'll hear a little bit about that at the end of the show. But right now, I can't wait to introduce A Moment with Shawn. Shawn, welcome.
Hey, Christine, how you doing? Yes, and this is A Moment with Shawn, and this is your moment right now. And I am so excited to join you this Monday night because we always bring that electrifying fire. We always have some of the best guests on our podcast because this is an amazing podcast. We're helping individuals to grow in the speaking industry. And not only that, we're giving them exposure. And ultimately, our goal is to get them paid gigs. And if you have a product that you would like to be shared, we would welcome you to come here and share your product because we would love to help you with your presentation because presentation is 90% of your product. People really look at you for the product. And it's not the product because there's a lot of individuals that do what you do. One thing
what I'm going to also do, yeah, and you're absolutely so correct. I want to make sure that I don't miss out on our tips. And so I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about every beginning. We have Shawn and Christine are sharing different speaker tips. And this is now your moment with Shawn. Shawn, I'm going to turn it over to you for your tip for tonight.
And thank you, Christine. And my tip for tonight is talking about the content. That's right, the content that goes into your speech. I want you to understand that this content should be well researched because when you're conveying a message, you want to be able to speak to the audience. You have to know the audience that you're speaking to and make sure that that content is appropriate for that audience. Otherwise, you'll lose your audience. However, now I just like to say that if you're doing an informative speak, make sure that it is research and you state the facts and the facts are there so the audience can follow you because it's all about the details. And if you're doing an inspirational speech, I ask that you make it so compelling where you draw your audience in and everyone is listening. And while they're listening, equate some emotion. We love emotions in content. It keeps the audience aroused. We love that. So as an audience, we just like to engage the audience. Ask a question. That's always helpful within the content. Ask questions. Ask the audience, what are they gaining from this? Or are they following you? So content is very important when you are a speaker and you're delivering messages because individuals are paying attention and they want to take something. It's like we're a server. It's like you whip up a meal, you put the meal together, you put it on the plate, and you serve it. And that's what the audience want. They want to be served. And it's your job as a speaker to serve. And that's just a little bit about my tip with the moment with Shawn.
Content is everything. And every time I've heard you speak, you put everything into it, not just emotion, everything. I mean, you're so believable. That's what I absolutely love watching you and listening to you speak. It's as that saying goes, it's not what you say, it's how you make people feel, right?
There you go. And how they feel is your reward from the speech. It's how you make them feel. And we all want a word, and that word builds individuals up. So the word choice is very, very imperative in delivering this speech. And it's impactful.
I love it. I love your tips. You always bring such great tips. I have a few just to kind of carry on. Shawn talked about content, how important that is, and to put your all into it. Okay, let's say you're on stage or right before you get on stage. Here's a couple of quick tips right before. That's number one, is get in the zone before you're ready to get up and speak. Take about 10 minutes to yourself. Just be by yourself. Drink a little water. Go somewhere where you can focus on your breathing and repeat some phrases to yourself to get it started. Make sure you remember the first line and the last line. But what's important is that stage mantra routine to see you. If you have to have a big stage and you want to walk around, visualize it over and over, because you practiced, you did research like what Shawn mentioned. So here's the real thing. Now that you're on there, have that confidence, because you do not want to bury your face in notes. No siree. You don't want it. That's horrible. You want to make sure you can look everybody in the eye to make eye contact. That is the most important thing. And it may be hard to do, but maybe you just need to get a couple of friends over so you can practice on them and make sure you have that eye contact. And then, as Shawn speaks so well about, use those pauses. He definitely can have a whole hour just talking about phrasing and pauses. And then if you have a message you want to say, repeat it. Repeat it a couple of times. There's been a lot of statistics saying that if you have a 15-minute speech, that's all they can handle. If it's more than that, their eyeballs are rolling. So pick 3 items. Pick 3 items you want to make a statement on, and keep it going. And that repetition will help get that point. So they'll say, oh, I know what it was. It was 1, 2, 3. If you lose your mindset, if you freeze or anything, keep talking. That is going to, until you get back to home base, keep it going, because guess what? They don't know what your speech was. And smile. You do not want to let anyone see you sweat. And with that, remember, the audience is definitely on your side. They want to hear something great, and they know what it could be like being up there if it was themselves. So in the end result, don't be so hard on yourself.
You're right, Christine, because one of the things that I used to do before I actually came up to speak was I had this Shawn Walker shake that I would shake it off just to get the jitters out. There's many ways individuals get the butterflies out, but once it's game time and that light goes on, I'm ready to go. But I always had the Shawn Walker shake, and I still do it, especially when we were meeting in person. When we were meeting in person, it's like rehearsal, let's go. You're prepared for it. You're here. The time is now. The lights are on. It's time to perform. And you just go do what you do. That's what makes it beautiful. You just do what you do. You practice, you work, you put the work in. It's go time. You go do it, and trust me, it will come off. as you practice.
I like that Shawn Walker shake. Everyone should learn that Shawn Walker shake. You know, that should be a dance routine too. We got to pick the song, what you dance to. I'm serious.
Well, I have that, and we're going to do that real soon. So stay tuned. We're going to put that all together.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I used to do before I come on stage. I'll do the shake, and other Toastmasters would watch me, and they would be like, what is he doing? I do that shake, but when I go on stage, it was electrifying.
Oh, wow. That is absolutely incredible. Well, we have a speaker for tonight. Now, what's interesting, I want to give you a little heads up on this, and it's kind of funny, but I did this interview. It's pre-recorded with this speaker. He's based in Idaho, has an incredible speech.
I love it. I love it.
And when I was doing the interview this past week, in just 1 week's time, I have bangs. I have a little different look than what I have now. I don't look the same.
That's okay. That means we're going to have a change of pace, and that's what makes what we do interesting, because we don't want to be predictable. We want to be outside the box. That's what we do.
Yeah, I sure catch it by surprise. It's interesting enough. I absolutely love my daughter. My daughter is amazing, career woman in Manhattan, New York, living it up.
The Big Apple, huh?
Yeah, and she's in Manhattan on her own. She's doing a great job. But she said, Mom, I'm going to pay for you to do a makeover. I go, okay. And so she goes, you're going to go to Boise, because I live in Southeast Idaho. So other side of the state, you're going to go to Boise. I'm going to have this person do your hair, this person do your makeup, and this person do your photo shoot. And I go, but that's going to be expensive, because I'm counting pennies, right? I grew up that way doing that, so I'll never change. And I didn't grow up in the Depression. I've just been that way. And she goes, no, Mom, because I was trying to find an excuse. Change isn't good for me. And so she goes, no, Mom, I paid for everything. This is your gift. And I thought, now I got to do it. And so to point things out, it's different when you compare with this other picture. It's not that you need a whole speech about this change. We want to focus on the speaker. But because my daughter loved me enough to pay for it, whatever she liked, she loved it the way it is now. It is something where I will have it. I don't care what anyone says. This is the way I'm going to be looking now, because my daughter paid for it.
You should be thankful anytime you get a reciprocity or what you've done for them, and it comes back like that. You have to enjoy that. And that's wonderful whenever your kids are able to give back to the parents. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, and I love it. My dad, I gave him a shirt that was too small. He played guitar, and it was a country western shirt. The sleeves went up to here. I don't know if you can see my arm, but up to there. He wore it. I'm a young girl. I'm like 14 years old. He wore the darn thing, and I was so proud of him. So that's a parent's love.
You see, right? That's right.
Right now, we're going to see this incredible speaker. I absolutely love this guy. He's an amazing friend. And it is something where I'm just going to turn it over to our recording, because it does all the talking. Right now, for all those, before we start, I want you to ask yourself, are you ready? Are you ready to give a speech on 9 at Night? We got to have you thinking about it, because this is your platform if you want to start getting into paid speakership. So be ready to be a speaker and be thinking about it this entire time. But right now, I'm going to introduce you to our speaker, Wayne Davis. It's all about the speech. Here we go. I am so excited for our speaker tonight. One of them, we have, his title is Twin Pillars of Strength, Hope, and Strength. Now, let me tell you a little bit. It's Wayne Davis. He lives in Southeast Idaho, and he's got a moving and shaking area here where he is doing so many things. He's been in Toastmasters since 2019. He's been a vice president of public relations, sergeant at arms. He's been the president of a club, and now he's serving as an area director. So quite a bit. And he's married. He and his wife Cindy have 5 children, 9 grandchildren. And he, in his day job, is a hospice chaplain. So definitely making a difference all over and around. So again, his title of his speech is Twin Pillars of Strength, Hope, and Strength. And we're excited to meet you. Okay, back to you, Wayne Davis.
What are the challenges that you're facing in your life today? Are you facing challenges in your business? Are you facing challenges in your personal life? There's a lot of challenges in running a business, as you well know. Some of those challenges are today inflation, government regulation, changes in your customer base, challenges from other customers. Maybe you're facing a bankruptcy. In your personal life, what kind of challenges are you facing? Are you facing the challenge of an illness, a broken relationship? Are you facing the challenge of how can you just make it from paycheck to paycheck? We all face challenges, don't we? And your challenges are important. I want to share with you 2 pillars that can be, I believe, a strength to you to help you hold up the roof as you face challenges in business and in your personal life. Centuries ago, in ancient Judea, King Solomon built a temple unto his God. And though we don't have any pictures of it, we do have a description of it, and we do know that the temple that was built in Jerusalem, known as Solomon's Temple, had twin pillars at the very front, and they held up the massive roof. I want to suggest to you that there are 2 pillars of strength that could help you in your life to help hold up your roof in your business or your personal life. The first pillar is the pillar of hope. When I think of hope, I think of what the Apostle Paul said in the New Testament. He said that hope needeth not be ashamed. He also wrote that the 3 greatest of all the gifts are faith, hope, and love. The greatest of those, of course, was love. Why is hope so important? In Viktor Frankl's book, The Man's Search for Meaning, he talks about being in a Nazi prison camp in World War II, where he was stripped of clothing and almost lost his life. He discovered, though, a very important thing. He saw men who literally walked into the bunk one day, got up on their bunk, and never got out of the bunk and died within days or weeks. Why? Because they had lost hope. There was no longer meaning to their life. He also saw other men who went through the camp and gave away, in some cases, their last piece of bread to help a fellow prisoner. How could they do that? Because their life had meaning, their life had hope. When I think of hope, I think of one of the great women in history, and that is a picture of this woman right here, Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc was one of the great figures in all of French history. She felt a call upon her life, and a part of her call was to give hope to her fellow countrymen. At the time of her life, they were in bondage to England, and there was war going on, and there was hopelessness. But she believed that with God's help and together, they could once again experience freedom. Hope, how powerful hope is. A second pillar is that of courage. Winston Churchill said that of all the virtues, the greatest of all the virtues, in his opinion, is courage. We know Winston Churchill from history in World War II, who urged his fellow countrymen to fight on, to never, 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 never give up. But to not give up takes courage. When I think of courage, I think of another man, one of my own personal heroes, and that is this man, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I'm old enough to remember, I was 11 years old, when I watched on television along with millions of others as he gave his famous speech in Washington, D.C. And he talked about, I have a dream. His dream was big, that one day white men and women and black men and women might come together and to live as one. He was a man of exemplary courage, leading marches and suffering indignities of jail and all sorts of things. How important is courage? It's pretty important. I want you to know today that whatever you face in your life, that those twin pillars of strength are there for you. But there is hope. There's also courage. Courage comes from within, but I also believe it comes from a power greater than ourselves. I encourage you today to tap into both of those, to tap in to the courage that's in you and the hope that's in you. I also encourage you to reach out to that being who's greater than us all and who will never fail you nor forsake you. So as you face your challenges in life, as you face your challenge in business, and you face your challenge in your personal life, remember these two. And in closing, I want to share with you my own personal story. When my wife passed away in 2010, I fell apart. And for 16 months in my life in Memphis, Tennessee, I was homeless. I'm grateful that I was able to survive that time. And the two things that got me through and got me to where I am today, I believe, was hope. Hope that somehow, some way, I could get my feet back underneath me. And the courage to do the things it took to get there and do that and be where I am today. I'm such a grateful man. So wherever you are today, whatever you're facing, remember those twin pillars, hope and courage. And those two pillars will help you get through. Thank you.
Well, bravo. My heaven, absolutely fabulous.
You have the time that came through?
I didn't, because we wanted to hear every word. You
Okay,
on
great.
time.
Should have been 5 to 7 minutes.
That is okay. You know what's interesting? We love our show because you have such passion in delivering what your words, your wonderful message reached me, definitely reeled me in big time, as well as stood up for principle and purpose, regardless where you are. And you absolutely sharing something so personal, such as living on the streets for a while, you definitely, I know without a doubt, have earned the compassion that is necessary to really look into others and really be able to help them.
Thank you very much, Christine. I appreciate that.
Let's talk about your ability to speak. Were you always this way, that you speak so clearly? Let's talk about that.
No, I was not. When I was in high school, my junior year, I was no longer big enough to play football. I played in junior high, and my junior year, I only weighed 135 pounds. I was 5'9", but I just wasn't big enough to play high school football. I had to have an elective. I picked debate.
Oh,
My
wow.
dad loved debate. He loved politics, and he was in insurance, so he loved to speak and all of that. So I thought I'll take debate. I remember going to my very first debate class my junior year in high school at Putnam City High School in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Mrs. Watkins. And our first assignment in class was to put together a 5-minute speech in front of the whole class. When it came my turn, I got up and my speech was 2 minutes long. And I sat down, and it was the most pathetic speech in the history of speeches. And she was very kind and said, well, I know that you'll do better next time. So I've been working on this for 50 years. And that's, I'm grateful to be where I am today.
That is excellent. I don't know what that noise, I see here an outside noise, but what I wanted to do is give you credit because we both belong to Toastmasters, but it's because of you in the spring and March that I met you in person at a chamber event, and you mentioned Toastmasters, and I had no clue what that was. And now I belong to 8 clubs because of you. See, and it's a good thing.
Yes,
Around
it is.
the
Yes,
world. And I can't say thank you enough, Wayne. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, let's talk about your goals, aspirations with speaking.
Sure. Well, my aspirations for speaking is to be able to share my messages with people around the world. I want to be able to speak to business people. I'm developing a speech, a talk called Armed or Dangerous. I hope to have a book to go along with it. Basically, the idea is that for business people who own a business and have employees, their employees are either armed or they're dangerous. And having spent the last 50 years in businesses of all kind, including ministry, I've seen some really excellent leadership. Worked at FedEx for 15 years, and Fred Smith at FedEx, and Steve Case at America Online, and lots of others. And I've seen some very bad managers too. So I want to share that with business people. I also want to be able to share hope to others. And this speech, I think, would be an excellent speech to give in other settings. And then I have a third speech that I've been working on, and that is Return to Joy, Your Natural State. I talked about hope and courage today, but another very important component to our lives is joy. I believe we were born in joy. I believe our journey is to return to the joy we knew when we were born. And I want to be able, I'm working on a book for that. I'm about halfway through the book, and I'm looking forward to publishing it here in the next year. And I'd love to be able to share that with a wider audience of people about joy, removing the roadblocks to joy, and being able to return to joy, your natural state. So those are some of my goals for speaking.
Now, what's really great.
And I have one other goal as a Toastmaster. I've been able to enter the last 3 contests we've had. I've never made it past the division. I won a couple of club speeches and a couple of area speeches, and I lost at the district, the division level. So I want to win a district contest, and I'd love to be able to go someday to the national contest. And wouldn't it be fun to go to the international contest? If you go to the international contest, they'll pay your way for 2 people, all expenses paid. Wouldn't that be good? So those are some of my goals.
I love it. I think it's fabulous. And I love the fact because it takes hope and courage to have that kind of passion for that. And I just appreciate it. Now, with all the clubs I belong to, when you're ready to start delivering your speech for the big contest, I can invite you as a guest speaker to them. Okay. And it would be a wonderful to get the feedback that we have. And we go around the world with our clubs. So that would be fun.
Well, I would love to. I've delivered the speech I just delivered to my club. My club really liked it. I got some very positive feedback about its message and my delivery. And I'd love to be able to take this message of those twin pillars of strength, hope, and courage to other people as well.
Excellent. Now I'm going to ask one more question.
Yes.
When you start working on a speech, what is your process?
When I start working on a speech is, first of all, inspiration, finding, and I think the inspiration comes from finding a need. What is the need? Sometimes it comes from a book I've read, an author, a quote, that maybe it comes from, life experience. My work currently as a hospice chaplain, I see so many people who are in hospice as patients, but also their family, who really need strength. And hope and courage is two big pieces of that component to help them face what they're facing in hospice. So it really comes from inspiration. I really believe sometimes it's inspiration from on high, sometimes it's from me. I see myself as a co-creator with God. That's the way I see it. That's who my higher power is. And to be able, like Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of my favorite authors, he said this one time. He said, "Don't compete, create." Well, that's kind of what my intention is to create speeches that will empower, motivate, and help others.
I absolutely love it. Wayne, you are absolutely a treasure, and we definitely will have you back. Thank you so very much. Appreciate you, and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Unmute.
Muted. Yeah. We have these cues. Wow, wasn't he great?
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. I was taking notes here, and I did my own little form of evaluating.
Yeah.
I was really engaged. He engaged me. I was looking at the storyline, his opening. I noted three things. I liked the way at certain points he smiled. And this is a technique that individuals professionally, we do as professionals, we smile. The smile is just as magnificent as a pause, because the smile, everyone smiles, it's contagious. And I saw certain points when he smiled, I was like, yes. And I like his hand gestures. I like the way he described the pillars. He used this, he used this, and the way he tied it into a big biblical format. When he talked about King Solomon, he talked about hope, he talked about courage. One that uses a lot of gestures was myself, and he did the open hand. A lot of people, as if he was talking to a larger audience within the frame of the box that we're in right now. The next thing I looked at, he had props. He didn't have slides, which we could use in this speech, like visual aids, but he had props. He had the paper of Martin Luther King. When he held it up, he smiled, and he talked about overcoming. So that was wonderful. I was just amazed by the speech. I was just looking, because I'm always paying attention. Being that master communicator that I am, I'm always looking for the little details, because if you can improve on the little details, this will make your speech impactful. I also looked at his eye contact. Wayne never took his eyes off of the audience. And when he spoke right to you. He looked right at you, he spoke, and he smiled. When there was times when he really took on a serious face, but you just felt this speech. It was about hope, and it was about courage, the two pillars. He tied his speech all the way up into a summary. I love his closing, because Wayne did something that most individuals are afraid to do. Wayne became very vulnerable. He opened up, and he shared a personal story about his life and one of the challenges that he faced, where it took hope and courage for him to restore his faith. And that was just beautiful, Christine. That's all I say. It was beautiful. I was really amazed. I was blown away by this speech. And he should continue to use this speech at the club level, at the area level. Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way at the division level. Continue to give this speech, Wayne, because I believe and I know that it will bounce your way. This was a great speech. I thank you.
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, one thing is your tips were make sure you use emotion. I mean, he's like the perfect example of both tips that you and I shared. On yours, it was use emotion. You know, he did the research on his content. He had these two characters, or not characters, but two examples of
Yes.
of why and what. Now with my tips that I added on, and it was the fact that, and you say this too, the pacing, but
Yes.
he absolutely repeated. You knew what his speech was about. It wasn't all over the place. I'm going to remember hope and courage and the two pillars for the rest of my life, just because he repeated it to a point, and then he had examples of it, of other people, and then to bring it in with his own personal, very vulnerable, transparent example. Wow.
Yes, and he also used speakers as examples as well. He used Dwayne Dwyer, one of my favorite as well. And Dr. Dwayne Dwyer was one that he made an astronomical nominal of money. It was at a prestigious college. Dr. Wayne Dwyer said 3 words. This was the greatest speech of all time. You can look it up. You can Google it. Never give up. That was his whole speech. Never, 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 never give up. And Wayne said the same exact thing. Imagine getting paid just to say those 3 words. Never give up. It was amazing.
Well, let's just give a big round of applause to Wayne Davis. And you heard he is the one that introduced me to Toastmasters.
Well, when you come across a certain individual that has a passion, that I observed him said that he's been working on this for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't believe that the time that it takes for you to put in the work. I remember he said he started his first debate in junior high school. He went to the debate class and he had some experiences. He gave a crappy speech like everyone does. That's your first one, the crap one. I did it. A lot of us did it. But he didn't want to feel like that ever again. And that is the hope that he had. If he was presented with this opportunity again, it's going to take courage to do this. And we learned that very quick. When you give a speech that you're not proud of, in my case, I didn't say a word for mine, but you never want that feeling again. And it took hope and courage to bring Wayne to where he's at. And it's 50 years. For me, it's been 12. And a lot of people look at me and just, they're amazed by my speaking ability, but they don't understand that this took 12 years. This was not no fly by night, but this is 12 years of hard work.
It is hard work. And I think one thing with me, I was a single mom 15 years and I didn't have family around or financial help. So it's not that I was hardened, but when things went oops, you just get through it. You work through it. I taught my kids, okay, here's the situation. Let's sit down and let's figure this out. Let's vote on the answer of what we're going to do as a solution. And,
right.
And that's how we did it. But that's the only thing I know. But it's not in hardening my emotions or numbing out or anything, but that's, if it's got to be, it's up to me attitude. And it took me through Toastmasters to actually get in touch with expressing, because when something goes wrong, I put it in the past, I didn't talk about it, I moved forward.
Exactly.
And so this is really helping me to try and get in touch. I'm still not there, but to really do that. And I love that opportunity, because people, if you pour your heart out, just like Wayne so eloquently did.
Yes, and not only that, it's a work, and it's a constant work, because you're learning so much about yourself during the course of this journey. It's all a part of that. And for me, like I said, it took 12 years for me to arrive where I'm at, and to be in a setting where you're completely vulnerable, but you share and you learn from that. That is a healing process. That's like therapy. And when I understood what this process means to me, the more I wanted to come back. And that's why I've been a member for the last 12 years, was because not only was I helping myself, but I was beginning to start helping others. And once you help others, you learn so much more about yourself. And this is how we improve.
And you're absolutely correct. And just keep going. Just do it. Now, unfortunately, Wayne, now I'm going to find out the Monday night that his bowling league is not bowling. So that's why we had to tape it. He's out there bowling.
Really?
Yeah. And that is, he works hard. He's helping the whole world. By golly, he can go bowl. Just the timing isn't the best. But when it is not a bowling night, I told him, you let me know so we can get you on. So he could talk to you and you talk to him too.
Yeah, I would love to, because there were one or two things that I would point out to him if we had him in this space. But that's okay, because what I saw, I did see a division winner. I know he can win.
Ooh, that just gave me chills. Oh my
Yes,
God.
I know he can win the division. I've been there myself, and I was just like a hairpin. I went against Matt Kinsey, who is now the Toastmaster president.
International.
Matt won. Yes, he's the international
You
president.
went against him?
Yes, I won against Matt Kinsey. I won the battle, but Matt won the actual contest. But Matt will tell you that I should have won the contest. I was at that level of going on to the division and winning the division, because Matt went up and he won. So.
Well, and we get past that and learn from that. What I'm wanting to do is have that time of learning about all different aspects of speaking. Now, I can tell you, Wayne Davis is going to watch this recording. And so I need you to give those tips to him. So,
yes.
So if he was in the room, what would you tell him?
What I would tell him, I did notice that he did a hand clasp. And that's something that we don't do. We call this a hand clasp, when we bring the hands in, and we would want to just relax our hands, just to not show, because when we do the hand clasp, it's like we're tensed up. So it shows like we could be nervous. If I'm observing you, I'm looking, and you do the hand clasp, I could perceive that as nervousness, but it didn't come across like that. But sometimes we just do that. We just do it, and it's a habit.
I'm trying to remember what that was on. Do you think it was bringing people together?
Well, no, I noticed that he did that a couple times.
Oh, okay.
Like bringing his hands together. It's okay to bring them here, but if you look at like a lot of professional speakers, not to say Wayne ain't gonna be a professional speaker, because in my eyes he is.
Yes.
But to bring them close, if you want to bring them close, just kind of ball your fists, and that shows no nervousness.
Okay.
That's good in that sense. I also noticed, let me see, when he said two pillars, he could have put up two fingers.
Mhm.
One pillar, two. I'm going to tell you about two pillars. This is a sign that lets you know that I'm going to talk about two things. It's the two pillars, and then you give examples of pillar one, pillar two. But there's just two little things that I noticed that could help him with this speech and to get him over the division level, because I know he wants to get to that international speech contest. And I think this is a speech that he could do it with.
That is excellent. Now, I'm sure you've gone over the judges list of what they look for. Have you been a judge?
I've been a judge, yes, at these contests, and that's what they look for. So far as his content, so far as his message, it's right on point. But little things you want to add to make your speech that much impactful. You just want to, just those two little things, just don't bring your hand, because at the judging poll, they look for those gestures and they look for the most impactful gestures as well. And relax, just relax, because it was beautifully said. It was nothing other than those two things. Just be cautious of the hand claps. And you just, when you're describing something, when you talk about two, put two fingers up to let us know.
And then
You
also,
want to talk about three
one
fingers.
thing is it's internet. The contests, they're done internet this year.
Yes, and for his presence, I did see him stand up, and that was beautiful.
That was
Because
really
when you stand up, you can relax, and that was another thing. Instead of doing the hand claps, he could just put his hands to his side.
well, and then he was positioned wonderfully well in the camera. He wasn't too far away where he's tiny. You could actually, he could get intimate with you with his.
Correct. Like if you look at how I'm positioned right now, and that's where you want to be. You want to be front and center. You want to know that you got all eyes on you. It's go time, and I want everybody to hear what I got to say. And like I say to you, Wayne, I was engaged. I love your speech. The content was very strong content. I think everyone can relate to that about hope and courage. We all have struggled in that area. So this is a speech that is going to reach a large audience. And I don't know, it could go into the thousands because everybody needs hope and courage.
There you go. Yes. And there you've heard it from Coach Shawn. We should appreciate it. So the question is, are you ready to be a speaker? It's all about the speech here at 9 at Night. And we just have a gentle review. We love supporting the takes, and make sure that you have support. Now, right now, I'm going to turn it back over to Shawn, because you're going to talk about this nonprofit that you created.
Yes, and I will speak a little bit about that. And let's just talk about this for a moment. MFL, which is Motivating Future Leaders. I'm excited to announce a few partnerships that I will be working with. Broward County Library. I just established a relationship and a partnership with them. We're going to be helping youth speak publicly. We have an event coming up in 2 weeks. I'll be there on the 19th as the master communicator, helping these young kids understand the purpose of public speaking. Also, we do that in the program as well, Motivating Future Leaders. We help individuals learn how to publicly speak. We have 10 principles that we teach, and through these 10 principles, we build your speaking ability and skills.
Yeah, we need to get this spread throughout the entire country and the world, because I love what you're doing. And so my hat's off to you, definitely. So, well, I'll tell you, it is about that time of the night. We completed a wonderful, wonderful hour in reflection of wonderful speakers, tips, and of course, good coaching in a moment with Shawn.
And you can reach me at 954-818-2299. Again, 954-818-2299. Call me if you're interested in volunteering. Call me if you have a community center or anything that would like our program to come there and join in a partnership. We're open and we are accepting those partnerships from individuals and sponsors. So we're looking for sponsors to help us to help these kids speak publicly. So we are looking for sponsors as well. Thank you.
Excellent, Shawn. I sure appreciate it. It's been great, and sure appreciate the fun that we have every Monday night with It's All About the Speech. I want to say thanks, everybody. I'll tell you, 9 at Night is all about making a positive difference. Each weekday night is a different topic. Tonight it's Monday, and it's all about the speech. Be thinking about your time on the stage, and we'll look forward to having you in the future. Thank you, and have a good night.
Amazing. I love the infomercial.